You are listening to the So Now What podcast with Lana Manikowski, episode number 107. I am coming, if you're watching me on YouTube, I'm coming from a live setting here in Portland, Oregon, visiting my sister-in-law and brother-in-law here for the holidays. And I don't have my normal sound set up. So if I sound a little bit different, that is why, but we are going to go with it anyway, because I have a really important topic that I want to talk about as we are just on the brink of Thanksgiving. And I want to talk this week about how you can cultivate gratitude through Thanksgiving and navigating Thanksgiving without children after infertility. And if you are catching this before you are on your way to your Thanksgiving festivities, tune right in. If you're catching this after, that is okay, because we still have more holidays coming up. And I think the tools that I'm going to teach you are definitely going to be universal on today's episode. And I want to talk about how to feel more grateful and thankful around Thanksgiving, because this could be really a particularly sensitive time, especially if you're faced with family gatherings where you're going to see people that you haven't seen in a long time, or maybe there's going to be questions about the status of your motherhood, or maybe the last time you saw some of these people, you were still in the midst of your fertility treatments, and people might be unknowingly asking for an update. So if this resonates with you at all, hang on, because we are going to get through a bunch of good stuff in this week's episode. But I first want to tell you that the most important thing that will help you through this process is acknowledging the fact that the feelings that you have a place in your sphere. Okay? There's no wrong way to feel, no right way to feel. And it's just a matter of acknowledging what it is that you are feeling. So if I had to guess, if you're like many of the students that I work with, you might have some anxiousness, you might have some dread, you might have some discomfort rolling into your holidays. And I think that we oftentimes think that we should be beyond where we are today. But imagine just for this year, if you allowed yourself to be where you are and acknowledge that this is something that you're working through, because you can't work beyond it. You can't get better at doing it. You can't become more comfortable with it if you don't allow yourself to just pay attention to where you are now and do it without judgment. Because I think it's really crucial to acknowledge and validate your feelings, because infertility and this path to childlessness can bring about complex emotions. And when you feel this mix of gratitude because you're like, oh, I'm excited. I have my family that I'm going to see. I have another year with my grandparents, or maybe you have family coming in from out of town, and there's part of you that feels super excited and grateful that you have this opportunity to be together. But then there's this other part of you that's like, oh, but what if Aunt Joanne asks in front of everyone about what my status is with my baby making, or tells in front of everyone, makes this assumption that I don't know that my mom's waiting to become a grandmother. You might have some of those family members, but it's okay to understand that there might be a mix of emotions, and it's okay to experience them. And so what I love to think about is, like, vision yourself driving up to Thanksgiving. If you're going to somebody's house, maybe start the play-by-play right now in your mind. And you want to envision what this house is going to look like when you pull up to it, what the driveway is going to look like. You might know some of the cars that are going to be in the driveway, and start to play that out in your mind now. You might even envision carrying your whatever dish you decided to make, carrying it up to the door and envisioning what it's like when that door opens. So take yourself in there right now and play out what that's going to be like for you. Now, I want you to think about walking into the room. Maybe there's a certain room where people gather, and you know that you're going to run into say these people and they might say like, hey, what's going on? How are you? Any baby news? Like, think about how that's going to feel right now. Doesn't mean we can change how you're going to feel, but if you experience it right now and experience what that discomfort might feel like, maybe it will be less jarring for you when you're actually feeling it in front of other people. Now, I want you to think about, how do you want to answer that question? I was doing some coaching with some of my students on this, and we talked through, how do we want to take in that question and how do we want to answer it? You have the opportunity to answer it whatever way you want. If you want to be snarky, some of my students were like, oh, there's part of me that wants to give a smart ass answer back. That's okay. But maybe you just want to say, oh, thanks for asking, but I just really don't feel like discussing it right now. And maybe you can stop the conversation there. Or maybe you can just say, oh, thanks for asking, but no new updates. So it's totally up to you how you're going to want to answer that question, but maybe think about it ahead of time so that it doesn't catch you off guard when you see all these people for the first time. Now, I want us to think about, now that we know how you're going to answer, you kind of know what that vision's going to look like when you walk in to the family gathering. How can you change your perspective towards what you do have in your life? If you're wanting to feel more thankful, if you're wanting to feel like grateful this Thanksgiving, because even though we don't have the children we dreamed of, maybe there are so many things in your life that have been overshadowed by that grief that you're feeling right now. And maybe you're going to decide that this year you're going to list out maybe the things that did go well for you. And it's not a comparison game. It's not this went well, but not as well as, or I wouldn't be feeling as good as I would if I had become a mom, or if my cycle had worked this month, or if I didn't have that miscarriage. It's not a comparison game, but I want you to think about all the things that you do have in your life. And they can be as granular as my legs that I stand up on every day when I get out of bed. Maybe it could be gratefulness for the house that you have, or the strength that you have to get through another day, because we know that this has been a challenging year for you. So what can you be grateful and thankful for without comparing it to how much better motherhood would have been, or comparing the fact that this seems minuscule compared to the things that didn't go right? We're not thinking about the things that didn't go right for this exercise. And maybe finding gratitude for the people that are going to be around you. And that doesn't have to include Aunt Joanne, who likes to get nestled up in your business. Let's think about the people that do bring you like fulfillment and happiness and joy this holiday and this Thanksgiving. And let's think about maybe some of the relationships that have been strengthened. Maybe you've had some personal growth, you listening to this podcast. Maybe this is something new for you. So can you be grateful for the fact that you are out there seeking the things that are going to try to create more fulfillment and more gratitude in your life? Because finding gratitude in the present moment can help ease the pain of your unfulfilled expectations that you had for your journey. And the other thing I'd love to offer is maybe you can come to your celebration tomorrow with some ideas for creating new traditions. Maybe embrace the opportunity to create a Thanksgiving tradition. I overheard someone today who said that they were going to be playing turkey bingo. I don't know what that is, but it kind of piqued my interest. She told me that she was having some people over, and just to make things fun, they were going to play turkey bingo, and she bought little gifts for people who won bingo. So look up turkey bingo, figure out what that is, and maybe start a new game or bring a board game. I know my family, a lot of times in the holidays, will play Pictionary. So maybe you're going to do that. And then the last thing I want to offer is maybe communicating with family. And maybe you do have certain people that have been part of this journey with you. And you know that they are allies for you, and that they're people who maybe you can pull aside and tell them, like, listen, if you see me cornered with Aunt Joanne, sorry if your name's Joanne, I don't mean anything against you, but I'm just going to put that in as something that you can think about as, somebody that you can pull aside as an ally, and somebody that can maybe help you navigate if they see you having maybe a rough time, or maybe see you struggling through something, and just give them that wink and say, hey, if you see me, come and I'm going to pull you aside. So I hope you have a beautiful Thanksgiving. I'm very grateful for you. I'm grateful for this journey that we've been on together. And I hope you know that if there's anything that I have learned, it's trying to figure out the things that have brought me joy and brought me fulfillment, even when I didn't think that it was available to me. So I hope you have a beautiful week. I love you. And remember, it's never too late to discover your meaning. I'll talk to you next week.